How are you? Hi everybody, and welcome to Improv on and off the show. I am coming to you from a coffee shop because reasons, okay, possibilities, Luke.
Possibilities, yes.
Possibilities is the name of the game.
Mhm.
If you can hear me pretty well, then great, good. I'll press mute every once in a while so that outside noise can be filtered in. But while we've got everybody here, I've got our whole thing. This.
Ah, yes. How does improv teach us to consider seemingly infinite possibilities in front of us? And how does drama therapy help us make a choice? Whew. Yeah.
Yeah, there are so many there are so many choices that can be made, Luke, in just like there are infinite amount of choices.
Oh, yes,
One
there
choice
are.
is to one choice listen, one choice is to freak out about all the choices that are in front of us.
Hmm.
And I think that one of the ways improv helps us to not freak out, how does it seemingly help us consider all the possibilities, is
Hmm.
that we use this phrase, if this, then what?
Yeah.
And then we also use this idea of what is the next logical step.
Yeah. Yeah. I just when you were, hey Charlotte, yay, no worries. um it like Yeah, I like what you said about just like taking the next logical step because and what you were doing before, I'm thinking about like how drama therapy can help focus it a little bit is just like, yeah, being aware of how you're feeling in the moment, and be like, okay, there's a lot of possibilities. I personally, I know that I get scared a lot. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many thoughts, so many things, so many different avenues to go and try and all that stuff. And so I get overwhelmed and I shut down a little bit. And I know that that can happen, but what I'm saying is that it's always good to be aware of how you're feeling when you approach like an array of possibilities, and taking that into account because that'll help focus where you want to go next.
There's a lot of that that's actually, I mean, obviously it's all very interesting, but this idea that we move towards, or at least consider how we're feeling before choosing an option, is interesting, especially on the improv side, because when we are on stage, we tend not to have like the time, or we don't think we have the time to consider our emotions before moving it towards the next step. But
Right.
even in those moments, we still have a split second to see where we're going, or at
Mhm.
least what we're feeling about the options laid out in front of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like, if you think about walking, for example, it's like, you have your impulse of like, okay, I'm going to take the next step, take the next step, take the next step, and like your intuition will let you know, be like, oh, I stepped in something weird, I stepped in something wrong, or that felt really great, that was cool. Let's keep on stepping this way, and so like even if you have like if you don't have the infinite amount of time to ponder all how you feel about things, your intuition will definitely signal you where you need to go next and what is going to help you feel safe, and feel ready to play to the next step.
The thing you said about even if you have an infinite amount of time resonates with me, because I feel like we when we're off stage, things thing things seem to be very pressurized. We feel
Mhm.
like okay, let's take getting a new job, or
Yeah.
getting into a relationship, or anything. We really feel like, oh my gosh, this has to be decided right now. And
Hmm.
just like on stage, we think we don't have a lot of time, and we do. off stage, we can think we don't have a lot of time, and we still do. We have
Right.
some time.
Right, yeah, yeah, and like like, yeah, when you're off stage, you have the advantage of perspective about like, okay, I see where this scene is going. I see this point to enter, this point to enter, this point to enter. Um, and I know another way that I was just talking about how I get shut down with improv all the time, but like how like what like kind of gets me to freeze a lot is like, oh, I didn't go in at the right, I didn't follow my feet, I didn't like go into the right opportunity at the right time, but knowing that that is a constant stream, about like, hey, it's still like there's still some pressure of like what you had said, Shannon, about like, personal stuff coming up, be like, I got like I have a new job or a new relationship that I'm excited about, but yet like this scene doesn't foster me talking about that right now, or things like that, and like it kind of like, it's good to kind of compartmentalize, being like, okay, I'm going to think about that, I think about personal life stuff, maybe like outside of the scene, and still play to the moment. And then yeah, like oh, yeah, that's what I got right now. Yeah. So,
No, I like that. I was just, man, as I was driving today, I was thinking about a ton of different things that are in the future, just like way in the future, and even very close. Like at the time, they were very close in the future. But
yeah.
I was recognizing that nothing that I could do while driving was going to even help those things. Like it just
Right.
wasn't the right time. Like they were, weeks, some of them months, and I was fretting. I could feel my body like, right, like if we don't get home and do this thing, then probably that thing won't happen. And if we don't, la la la, like this thing might not happen. And that space, like literally driving to where I was going, was just not the space to be thinking about. It wasn't helpful, at least. It
Yeah.
wasn't the space to be thinking about those things. And it feels like we are doing something when we are thinking about the thing. Like the thinking about it makes us feel like we're doing it. But when we're on stage, we often tell people, because you were talking earlier about your intuition, right? When we're on stage, we're telling people, look, you're sitting there, we can see you thinking about this, but it's not gonna, what we need to see is your feet moving, because your intuition is telling you what you can and can't do, right? Or at least
Mm,
what's available to you. So
yeah.
it's interesting, the work that we do, the work that we put into thinking
Hmm.
about possibilities, and it feels like we're doing, but really we're just like raising our heart rates.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I feel like it's kind of a little bit of security, bit of like you're like there's the phrase mentally preparing yourself for things, and so like you're like if from the dawn of time, but like how human development, like it's kind of like we've we're in the sense of like, okay, I need to prepare for every scenario so that that I'm safe, that my family's safe, that everyone is safe and secure and everything like that. And so, like as a product of that, now like we still have that mentality of like, okay, I still need to make sure that the safety is there and secure, and so, and a lot of it is like still thinking about like, okay, I'm gonna analyze the situation from all different angles, and I'm gonna make sure that like it's not that it's a safety issue, but it's more about like we still have like uh, think and overthink about different scenarios when, like you said, like sometimes it's just like, what, it might be good to just go, just like take a step forward, take another step forward, I know that like a lots of times like I had oh by the way my dog Khaleesi is here to join us.
We love you,
She's
Khaleesi.
yeah, I love her too. Um, so I'm sorry if she barks. But like when I when I was adopting Khaleesi, like lots of times I was like mentally for a long time I was like mentally preparing myself, being like, okay, I'm gonna get a dog, I'm gonna get a dog, but what about this and what about this factor and this factor and this factor? And then like it came to a point where it's like, you know what, I'm I'm yeah, i'm gonna I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna get a dog, like um so oh, thanks Charlotte. So um, she is cute. Yeah, she's turned around, but she'll turn around. But but anyway, sorry. Um, but yeah, like it wasn't until like I started following, my feet a little bit with like, okay, I brought my dog home. Now what do I do? Like, okay, how can I and I've got the basics of, I've got the food, got the toys, got the everything that's needed, to take care of her, all the essentials. But like but like I couldn't have prepared for 2 years on now, being like, oh, this is the type of treat that she likes. Oh, this is the this is what's going to help her feel more comfortable and less anxious, things like that I don't know about, but unless I'm actually with her and like walking with her, and figuring out, being like, oh, okay, she prefers this treat or this treat, or this me talking with her in this way or that, that like it kind of like it goes hand in hand. um yeah.
Yeah, this idea of making sure, considering possibilities to
Yeah.
make sure you're safe, but also balance. You're talking about the hand in hand balance, considering possibilities to make sure you're safe, and then also moving through those possibilities, following your intuition, letting your intuition lead you a little bit. And it feels like
Yeah.
it's like a give. I wanted to say give and take, but really it's like intuition,
Yeah.
safety, intuition, some safety,
Yeah.
intuition.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's you finding like calculated risk for you would be, hey, is this am I like first time trying out improv classes, like, okay, do I am I ready to play, am I ready to take another social risk, to try it, and being like a weird, silly character that may be really weird and silly and everything like that, but it's actually, it's really fun, and it's a bit cathartic, maybe, or like people like really identify with that character that you were playing. It's like, oh man, yeah, I've been at the bank waiting in line for a long time too, and I get that, so so um, and yeah, so it's about those, like you were saying, just kind of like, just taking the next step with like, okay, what my character is saying, what how does my character move that may be a little bit different. It can start thinking a little creatively too.
I love I love this like opening of worlds and then con- consolidating. Like I'm having a vision of like, hey, it's the whole zoo. Look at
Yeah.
everything in the zoo, right? But then we really just want to focus on the rhinoceroses or whatever it is, whatever
Yeah.
it is this is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's also like, sometimes like I have, as a drama therapist, I get like some clients who are like focused on one thing and one thing only, like, this is the solution, this is the question, this is the solution, that's it. And, it's one and two. Whereas like it's like, uh whereas, with thinking creatively, you need to think about like all the possibilities, all the different steps, the approaches, so the question may be number one, but at the same time, the answer might be 7 or 10. Like,
Yeah. So that thought, you're jostling stuff in my brain about when we come to decisions, or rather when we come to possibilities, that we think that there's only two possible outcomes, right? The feeling of like, well, I guess I'm gonna either keep this job or get fired. Like
right,
those are,
right,
or quit, or keep
right.
this job or not keep this job. Whereas it seems like there are, I got it. There seems like there are always infinite options, and that it's okay not to put yourself in a box for only two choices.
Right.
And what I'm also hearing from you, especially when it comes to being on stage, you when we are on stage, we get to practice the awareness of different possibilities in front of us.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It's there's also, Charlotte, I commented, I overthink a lot of things, and that's a part of the reason I feel stuck at the moment. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, um, and yeah, it goes along with that. Uh, like yeah, you can think all day long about, like, okay, I don't know how this person is going to take this news, but I need to say it, and just trying to like figure out like how to uh, you know apply for all the possibilities. But sometimes when you get into the room with them, like, you feel the energy, you have your intuition. Hi, Khaleesi. So and like, it's like you still have your goal in mind. You still have, like, I need to deliver this information, but there's lots of different, like an accordion way of like of coming to that conclusion again.
The information on stage when we're doing improv is literally getting the story across, whatever
Yeah.
story that is. There's a slamming door over here. It
Oh,
slams a lot.
okay.
I'm saving you. So, but the idea is that you're getting a story across, and there are infinite possibilities for that story to come across, right?
Right.
But we need to focus on what is my part in the story. And
Yeah.
that's another thing we haven't yet really delved into, and
Hmm.
we should, because I bet it comes up in drama therapy a lot, and that is
Yeah.
the fact that we have other people. Like, as far as being on stage, we
Hmm.
have other people to help us with the decisions that we're making.
Yeah.
And when we're in a drama therapy workshop, there are other people also who are helping us at least flesh out a little bit what the
Hmm.
decisions or possibilities could mean for us. Yes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Especially with drama therapy, as well as, like, in the improv classes that I've taught. Like, sometimes, there are clients that, like, they just, they are not into whatever activity that we're doing at the moment with the group, and for whatever reasons that they have, they're like, hey, I just need to sit out of the group and I just need to observe for a bit. You know and that has a lot of meaning and power to that as well. And if they feel ready, I invite them to be like, hey, what did you see in that scene? What did you see in that? you know and so, just having someone outside of the activity, like adding some perspective to it, helps increase the possibilities, as well as being in the activity too. And vice versa. Like, if there's sometimes where I'm like, I don't really understand, like, how that goes. And so, like, as an actor, for example, like, I'd heavily depend on the director to figure out, like, hey, what did that come across like how I needed it to for that character, for the story, for the scene, for the goal. Or did it not? And did that change the whole tone of the scene? So Sorry.
There's a word you used, which was invite. You were like, I ask them slash I invite them to. And we, man, what a great pivot on that word. Just because if we think about possibilities as invitations
Yeah.
instead of like bricks, right? Like if
Hmm.
we think of them as flexible instead of inflexible, then
Right.
we're it's easier to flow and think about what those possibilities could be and
Right.
what our role in them could
Mhm.
manifest into.
Yeah. And it goes back to another point. Because yeah, but basically, like, just because you choose one, you make a decision with one possibility, doesn't mean like you're stuck with it forever. Like, like there's because one possibility leads to another, leads to another, and you can, like, yeah, shift around and change around still to it, or be like, hey, looks like this avenue did not work out. This is choose your own adventure. So it's not, if it didn't work
And
out, you can flip that.
that choose your own adventure part, even when we think we've made like a choice or that it's like, hey, this is the only possibility there is, and we start moving towards it, it
Yeah.
it itself can shift, right?
Hmm.
And there's like a flexibility that we have to have in order to like move with the possibility shifting, like you were saying, one possibility leads to this, leads to that, leads to this.
Yeah.
But even before we get to the possibility, like the choice, there are like all these other possibilities that could happen in between.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's to me, that's exciting. I can see how a lot of people are like, oh, like how that's kind of frightening too, because I mean, it could go a lot of different places. I mean, like, for example, like with when they're talking about the MCU and the multiverse and everything like that, there's lots of different avenues to go around, and like, how are they going to do this? What are they going to do? Oh no, but at the same time, like, they're they're building in a lot of flexibility points, because they're like, hey, anybody can play this Captain America, anybody can play like like spider there's a whole spider verse, so there's a whole, so like and so they're building these key points about, like, hey, like, there's one universe where this one character plays and everything like that, but at the same time, like, this character could be shown in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different scenarios, which would be so exciting as well. And like, includes a lot of ideas and a lot of people, into the mix of it. That's not just like, this is the one standard way, that's it.
I love I love you using the multiverses as well. There's so many multiverses
No.
that we could talk about. Um,
Yeah.
one that you said, oh, it's exciting for you, but it can be not so exciting or restrictive to others. And I wanted to hear you sort of talk about also, oh, the coming back. Cher just said it. There's no coming back, but you're wrong, Cher. There
Yeah.
is coming back. you can you can choose a path and see as you're walking, all right, well, this is how it's turning out as I'm choosing this path. But then you can jump multiverses. You can jump off of that train and into another universe, multiverse, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
and see what it's like midstream. Can I say
Mhm.
midstream? I feel
Yeah,
like midstream's a good
that
word.
works. That's great.
you can, and you can always return. You can
Yeah.
return. And I say you can
Yeah.
always return, and that may not be true. Like
Right.
sometimes you go through a door or you start on a path and the other
Yeah.
paths close. But
Mhm.
we with the idea that we can adjust,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
some of that like restrictive can be released.
Right. Yeah. It's just knowing that we can adjust. I think that's kind of the key concept, and it builds off of, like, just like, for example, like, I was having conflict with my boss, and I came in with an expectation of like, okay, I think this is how it's going to go, and if I didn't have the mindset of like, I'm gonna try and be flexible with it, or like trying to find a flexibility with it. I would have been a lot more upset, because like there was like I would have this expectation, this one view about like, okay, this is how it's going to go, that's it. I can still have my goal in mind, which is like, hey, for example, like I need a different office, and I'm going to talk to my boss and negotiate like different spaces, different offices, and like, uh, but, uh, but it's, oof. But it's just kind of like, figuring out like, so that's my goal, but I hope my expectation is to get to that goal. But there can be a lot of different ways, of like, I'm gonna be flexible with my expectation. Like maybe it's not time, maybe there's no there's no office space, or maybe it's not the right time, for how people are moving and going with, um, remote work versus in office work, things like that. But at least, my boss knows what my goal is. I have a goal in mind, and we're going to try and meet it. Yeah. If we're,
There's we, it goes back to the idea that there are other people
yeah,
involved, and you made me think about, we tend to think about our universe or multiverse, like the Spider-Man is like,
yeah,
I'm Spider-Man,
yeah,
I'm the only Spider-Man. But really, not only is it Spider-Man, but then there are all the villains that you have to take into consideration, and then all the
yeah,
people of Spider Town. Listen, help
yeah.
me.
We'll do it.
I'm sorry, Marvel. I'm sorry. Okay. But you know where he lives. I can't
Yeah,
think about it right now.
yeah,
But all the people that
yeah.
and all the people and all of their multiverses that
Hmm.
affect yours as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
And it just like puts me in that back on that mindset of, yeah, you're in a spot, you're on stage, you're about to make a choice, the choice, and you think that choice is going to land you
hmm.
somewhere, but there's five other people on stage, right? There's
Yeah.
five other people doing all of that.
Right, right.
We've had, so this week it's multiverse.
Uh-huh.
Last week, oh, what was it? We've had a
Oh,
week of
Little Mermaid.
mermaids. We
Yeah.
had a week of multiverse, and last week it was something else. Go back, Charlotte, see what we were doing
Yeah.
last week. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
that's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
It's a lot to consider, and I think it takes some pressure off of you,
Yeah.
right? Like when you're starting to think about, am I going to get this job? Oh,
Hmm.
my boss might have something to say about it, but also they are being influenced by other things as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just like what you did or didn't do to
Hmm.
influence the path. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things happening that are also influencing your path.
Right. Right. Yeah. And uh, like uh, like with all the considerations of, if everyone is a multiverse, like it's like, whew, so many possibilities. At the same time, like by you choosing one path, or the next, or another possibility, it doesn't mean that you're losing any part of yourself at all. It's more about you're gaining awareness of yourself in different ways. And then also like you're gaining awareness of uh, another person at that moment in time. At that one singular moment when you were like, okay, cool, we're on stage, we're going to create a character together. Let's see how it goes. So it's like, cool, great, yeah. If it doesn't work out, cool, let's change it up. Like I've been in a couple of like improv duos where it's like, oh, okay, that's where that scene went. All right, like let's end it. Okay, cool. Or we're doing great. This is cool. Let's keep going. And so it's really exciting too to be like, hey, let's just try again. Let's see how it works out, and having that open mindset of flexibility is great thing to work on and have with the improv, but also in life in general. So
Luke, I don't think I can say any of what you just said any better. So I'm going to say that well done. Well done, everyone. If we don't see you, in real life or on this screen, we will definitely see you on. And
And off the stage.
we love you guys.
Love
Bye. Thanks,
you.
Charlotte. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Charlotte. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. See you
Bye.
later. Bye.
Bye.
Oh no. Just kidding. Just
Okay.
keep waiting.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Everybody. Okay,
Yay.
bye.
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 See you
Bye.
later.